Yep to the yep. You already know what time it is. It's your girl P.O.C. Turn your radios up, spread the word, spread the message. We are live right now on 900 AM WURD 96.1 Word Radio. And you already know how we come in each and every Friday live on Eco Word from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We have a jam-packed show for you. Yes, you. Everything we do is a FUBU effect, and we want you all to be a part of the conversation. I'm excited about today's show. Today is Friday, April the 12th. We are kicking off Earth Day celebrations, man. It's all month long for the month of April, for me especially. But I got some amazing guests on the line who's just as excited about Earth Day. They created a whole Earth Week, you guys. They got plans all week long, starting on April the 19th. Guess what? The Academy of Natural Sciences for Drexel University has announced the launch of its first ever environmental Focus Film Festival is going down in the city of Philadelphia on the 19th. And I got some folks on the line who are going to tell us all about it. And I'm going to start with you. We have Molly Gross kick off today's conversation. Molly, tell us exactly who we're listening to.
Oh, thanks so much. So glad to be here. I'm Molly Gross. I do the public programs at the Academy of Natural Sciences, and we are just so thrilled for this festival. It does kick off on the 19th. It goes to the 21st. It's at 10, there's 10 films. It's at 3 locations. It will start at Cherry Street, and a little bit later, Sarah Mueller from cinéSPEAK can tell us about that. And it's going to be at the Academy on Saturday the 20th. And then we go to the Bryn Mawr Film Festival on the 21st.
All right, like I said, they got a whole week planned for you all. And Sarah, I'm going to bring you in the conversation since you were mentioned. Welcome, Sarah, to the conversation. Tell us exactly who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be back on WURD. Yeah, I'm Sarah Mueller. I'm the executive director and founder of cinéSPEAK, and we're really delighted to partner with the Academy this year for their inaugural Environmental Film Festival, and really excited to feature the work of local filmmaker Bilal Motley. It's a true honor, and really excited to be here.
No doubt. And Bilal, I definitely want to kick it to you, Bilal, because you were mentioned. Tell us a little bit about what you got going on and how did you become a part of this festival?
Hello, everybody. Yes, my name is Bilal Motley. I'm from Chester, Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and right outside, right outside of Philly, like 10 miles south. All my adult life, I've worked in Philadelphia, and the place I worked at mostly was the Philadelphia Energy Solutions oil refinery, where
Okay.
in 2019, when it exploded while I was working there at the end of my night shift, I made a documentary about it, about the aftermath of that and the
Mm-hmm.
effect on the Black and Brown community, and in my struggle dealing with my love for my refinery brothers and sisters. And latest film was on my hometown of Chester, Pennsylvania, Trash and Burn, and it's on America's largest trash incinerator in my small little town of 35,000 people. So yeah, I'm just glad to be here. I appreciate this. Thank you everything you do at WURD, and thank you for cinéSPEAK.
No
Appreciate it.
doubt, Bilal. You already know I support you through and through. I love
Yeah.
the work that you're doing for sure. And Ryan, I definitely want to bring you into the conversation as well. Talk to us a little bit about how you became a part of this festival.
Yeah, so at the Academy, we're about supporting grassroots organizing around environmental justice and climate change issues.
Awesome.
We're working with the Philadelphia Asian American Film Festival, the Philadelphia Latino Film Festival, Bryn Mawr Film Institute, and Black Star, as well as cinéSPEAK on the project
Yes.
to highlight films relevant to that topic. So we're really excited.
For sure. And that makes me want to actually just kick off the conversation now. We all have you all introduce yourself. Ryan, when it comes down to these amazing collaborations that you all have coming forth when it comes to this film festival, how did you know that you wanted to collaborate with all these amazing people to really bring forth this conversation?
Well, I think what's really great about a project like this is that film can give people access to
Yeah.
information.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about sharing information. Every film will accompany a talkback conversation with the audience where they can hear from scientists and policymakers, filmmakers around the specific issues their films address. And those happen in Philadelphia and abroad. So you get to hear what's happening here in the city and then how that maps onto what's happening in places like the Philippines.
Mm-hmm. And that makes me want to ask you, Molly, when it comes down to just the inspiration behind Confluence, right? We didn't really get into that, but when it comes down to Confluence, which is actually the title of the festival, how did that come about?
Yeah, first I want to tell you the whole title is Confluence Earthly Films for Philadelphia. And Ryan thought of that, so I'll give him props for that. That's amazing.
Shout out to
I
you,
mean,
Ryan.
yeah, I mean, first of all, these organizations are so amazing, doing such amazing work. They've been around for 10, 12, 15 years. I was just so impressed by all the work that's happening here in Philadelphia. And we were like, we have an auditorium at the Academy. We need to activate that. And we need to be in conversation with people doing the work, telling the stories. And to be working with all these folks has been just so rich and so amazing. And they just jumped right on board and said, let's do it. Let's tell these stories. And they are already in those conversations. We're like, we want to bring those conversations to different audiences, same audiences, and just like get that going in another space. So it's just been a really delicious way of working with all these folks.
I love it. And, Sarah, that makes me want to jump to you, because when we talk about cinéSPEAK, can you actually elaborate a little bit on what cinéSPEAK actually is and how that collaboration came about for you all?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, again, it remains an honor to be a part of this collaboration. We've been around loosely for 10 years. We came about really as a response to kind of twofold of wanting to bring more independent film to Philadelphia. I was kind of angsty about seeing a lot of films miss our city,
That's real.
despite being one of the biggest cities in the country.
That's
And then
really big.
also, also wanted to use film as a tool to connect people to local movement building. Because it's kind of Ryan kind of started the conversation off, and Bilal also mentioned that film is a really powerful unifying tool, across cultures, all the ways in which society divides us, to be able to talk about issues, right, that impact people. In 2008, I saw a film called Food Inc. That looks at kind of like food injustice. And something that really moved me with that film was the fact that at the end of the documentary, you don't just leave like enraged and like helpless, but you leave with like tangible ways to kind of connect in your community to these issues. And really that kind of led to us, how we've used film over the years to kind of, connect people to the makers who are telling these stories and the work that's happening on the ground in the streets. And that's what, led us to bring Bilal, who's a really incredibly talented maker, who's telling stories directly impact him. Of course, he was a former employee at the refinery, but also his community in Chester, which is really powerful.
And Bilal, lived experiences always tell the best stories, right? And so when it comes down to, your documentary Trash and Burn, some people may think like, oh, here we go, another person just shedding light on the negativity of what it means to, really want to push environmental justice or climate change. But when you tell your story, Bilal, how are you making sure that it represents the entire community of Chester, but also the surrounding areas like Philadelphia?
Yeah, it's just taking care with the subjects in the film and being fair to the subjects in the film. Like I try to, it's hard when you make these films. I try to remove my own beliefs. I want the viewer to decide because that's easy, right? You know what I mean? I'm a super liberal. I'm the guy in Huffington Post like this is ridiculous. That's me. But I try to leave it up to the viewer, present the information, and just try to provide a unique point of view. Like I used to work in some of these industries that that the activists don't want. So I think I offer a unique perspective. You know what I mean? The people inside of those industries aren't evil. They're just people looking for to provide for their families. However, what they're producing, it has an effect. The same thing at the refinery in South Philly and then the incinerator in my hometown. So it was really difficult. Trash and Burn was my toughest film because the mayor, who's been back and forth with the activists over the years, grew up next door to my dad in Chester. That's how small Chester is. You know what I mean? We have big names for each other. So it's that was really tough, like taking care, being fair, removing my biases, which I have strong opinions, but let the viewer decide. Prevent the information because there's people across the street from that incinerator, America's largest trash incinerator, that doesn't even know what it is until I told them. So yeah. That's what I try to do.
I definitely agree with you. And shout out to, everyone in Chester who's doing the work. Shout out to Ms. Zulene and Circle, who's really doing the work to make sure that they are advocating and people are educated on the topic of what it means to actually be a taxpayer citizen in Chester, what you can do, like how big your voice can really be if you, really get out there and do something about it. But that makes me want to jump you back into the conversation, Ryan, right? Because we're talking about filmmaking, we're talking about a film festival, and some people would say like, how does this go or how does this correlate with environmental activists, environmental activism? So when it comes down to even the intersection of art and entertainment with making sure we're pushing a greener, safer Philadelphia, how can we make sure people understand that we can make this, relatable to you by meeting you where you are, by doing things like film or creating art behind it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the beautiful things about this project. And I think one of the amazing values of any kind of advocacy work is that it's collective. So there are a lot of different filmmakers and a lot of different festivals involved in this project. And they're all looking to just share information and knowledge that they have. So there's definitely a strong educational component. And I loved what Sarah said, that there are definitely environmental justice issues here, but there's also activists and advocates that are looking to address this issue, who are going to be at Cherry Street Pier on Friday the 19th, who you can learn from and get involved. I think that's the most critical thing, is how can people get involved in understanding these issues and helping to address them.
And Molly, that makes me want to jump you back into the conversation specifically on, your ideas of, or the Academy's idea of how they envision this to actually contribute to the community engagement portion of when it comes down to climate action or environmental justice. Like, how do you all expect to get community involved by, continuously pushing initiatives like this?
That's a great question, and I want to talk about what's happening on Saturday. So on Saturday, we're doing 3 programs, and each program is curated by one of the festivals. So for example, at 11 a.m., it's the Philadelphia Asian American Film Festival. So the programmers will be there. They're going to be showing a film called Delicado, which is set in the Philippines. And each film, and I'll talk about some of the other films, is really showing communities wherever they are at. In this case, it's in the Philippines. Activating themselves. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, and we'll be having conversations afterwards with either the creators of the film and or the film organization, and really thinking together, okay, what did we see, how can we talk about that? And then at 2 p.m. it's the Philadelphia Latino Arts Film Festival, and they're doing one called We Are Still Here, Nos Tenemos, if I'm saying that correctly. And it's really about a group of fairly young people in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria activating themselves. So you're seeing people doing it. It's very inspiring. And you're seeing it's hard, and you're also seeing it's exciting, and it's people are growing in their leadership. So also seeing, you're like, maybe I could do that. So you get a little sense of possibility. And then at 5 p.m. it's Black Star Projects, and there are a couple films being shown at every hour or every time I'm mentioning, but the final film is Freedom Hill. It's by Rosita Cox, who will be coming for the film, and it's looking at the town of Princeville in North Carolina, and they're really dealing with some very serious environmental racism, but you're also seeing what they're doing, who's talking to whom, how they're doing it. So I'm saying in the seeing of the film and then the talk afterwards, either with a filmmaker or with an organizer, you're already being part of the conversation. So instead of going like, I don't know how that works, you can say, oh, look, these folks are doing it, and I'm getting inspired, and I'm getting ideas. And then you can say, oh, what's happening here in Philadelphia? How do I? So I really love that in these films, you're seeing activation, and then how you can participate perhaps in your own neighborhood can come from that.
I love that. I love that. And for those who are just tuning in, again, we're live right now on EcoWord on WRD. We're speaking with Ryan Strand Greenberg. We're also speaking with Molly Gross. We also have Sarah Mueller on the line, as well as Bilal Motley, who is representing the first ever, which I'm excited about, film festival, which is called Confluence Earthly Films for Philadelphia, which is brought to you by the Academy of Natural Sciences of Drexel University. And Ryan, I know you wanted to jump back in to piggyback on what Molly just said, but I also wanted to just add a tad bit to that before you jump in, Ryan. When it comes down to blending all of these diverse communities together, I wanted to just add that piece in it as far as the community engagement. You have the Latino, you have the Asian community coming together. Ryan, how do you all, envision all of this collaboration really coming to life?
Yeah, thank you for that. I think it's like about the collective, like how can we move these issues forward together? I think they are often very large issues that we're talking about that require very multidisciplinary, multi-background people showing up and showing out for specific issues. So I would say, yeah, the more organizations that we have involved in amplifying these issues, the more the issues are going to move from being a challenge to something that communities can actually address.
For sure. And Bilal, that makes me want to jump into my next question with you, right? Because we talk about the film festival being so diverse, right? And as an artist, as a creator, do you think going into these type of films, you need to create films specifically for the audience? Or how do you go into the process of doing the creation of your projects or your documentaries, knowing that you want to tell a message?
Yeah, because yeah, that's always the challenge because I start a project saying, okay, what's out there right now in the film ecosystem and what do I think is missing? You know, and this, you know, I've done most of my films have been about Philadelphia, and one film on my daughter's pandemic experience, but my hometown, um, I wanted I worry sometimes that I'm preaching to the choir. So I try to find an angle that you know, this universal. Like we all want our kids to be healthy. We all want to be happy. We all want to be safe. And I try to tell a story in a way that, you know, people can connect, even if you disagree with the approach of the activism in the community that's featured in the film, or you know, things like that. So that's always the challenge. So yes, I try to make something that somebody can take something like, okay, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Try not to alienate anybody, but but you do want to have a strong POV. You want to have a strong argument, a good inciting incident, you know, things I learned in screenwriting. And yeah, but this is awesome. You know, the filmmaker Reseda with Freedom Hill. Like I'm excited. I'm excited about this whole thing. I know her very well, and this is amazing. You know what I mean? I'm just really grateful for this opportunity. Mhm.
I love that. And Sarah, that makes me want to ask you a question, you know, because you deal with filmmakers, you deal with artists all the time. But one thing in this very tricky climate that we live in right now, is disinformation is being put out there. And I know that with creativity comes imagination, comes exploration, all these amazing things. But how do you all at cinéSPEAK make sure when it comes down to disinformation, you know, you are doing the right, I guess, the right thing to check in and make sure that these artists, before they put the films out there in these particular film festivals, it's going to align with the agendas and the mission of the film festivals?
Wow. First of all, you're a fantastic interviewer. These are such great questions.
Thank
It's
you.
very, very, yeah, very, very thoughtful. I would just say that you hit on something that is, we are always really concerned about when it comes to curating films, because it's really easy to just be like, get on, Google and search, I want to look up an environmental justice film or about this issue, and thousands of films will pop up.
Yes.
But one thing that we've learned whenever we are particularly pairing films with movement work, we care really, we put a lot of care and thought into making sure that the films we screen are relevant to the movement building that's happening on the ground, right? Because nothing is worse than presenting a film and then you're like, oh, you think you're doing a good thing. And then the people who are doing the work on the streets are also like, well, actually that's actually counter to what we're doing, counterproductive, right? Or it's an old story or whatever it is. And so we've really found that it's super important to work as closely as possible to the people telling those stories, and also those most directly impacted by any myriad of issues, knowing that we are all complicit or engaged, right, in addressing those issues, right? So it's like we might be based in Philly, but like there's no such thing as an actual border between us and Chester. You know what I mean? Like, sure, there is in terms of like a map, but our air is a shared air. And so in terms of being a citizen in Philadelphia, you should be absolutely concerned what's happening to our family in Chester. And so that's really what we do. We do a lot of conversations. It takes longer. Collective process is always longer, but it's always much more rich, and it's more impactful.
I love that answer. And I definitely agree with that as far as showing love to Chester at all times, because it's literally right there. And Molly, I seen that you were agreeing with Sarah, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to piggyback on anything that you may have wanted to say or add.
I'm just saying, I am so aware of people like Sarah, and all these organizations are doing that work. And that's what we wanted to create, a space for that. So you can call this also like a convergence or a convening of people doing the work, meaning like Sarah, like Black Star, like it. So I just love that work is happening, the filmmakers, and there's this whole ecosystem. And it's like, let's make sure that people are being giving access to it, actually, so that it's both like the way Bilal was saying, like he's making films and he's really thinking, how is this universal? And it is. These are human problems and it affects all of us. So I love that idea of like that work is happening, and then how we can say, here's access to it, participate, watch and learn and listen, and hopefully be inspired by it.
I love that. The best part about it is here's the access to it. You know, people always make complaints or, want to talk about how they don't have access to certain things. But the fact that you all are making access is incredible. It's a week-long program, people. Like, it's something for everyone throughout the entire week of Earth Week. So definitely make sure you mark your calendars. Molly, I'm going to give you a chance to repeat some of the stuff. I know it was a long list of full activity throughout the week. But before you repeat it, I want to ask Ryan one last question about the title. Since Molly said that you came up with the title Confluence launch Earthly Films for Philadelphia. Some might say Confluence. What is that all about? Earthly Films. How is this for Philadelphia? Talk to us a little bit about the title so people can just get excited. As you know, we excited, right? But we got to get other people excited.
Yeah, totally. Well, one thing that connects all Philadelphians is our waterways.
Yeah.
People might not think about it, but you actually have rivers and streams running under your feet, even in your neighborhoods. Old rivers were converted to sewer systems. So if you live in Germantown or Logan or wherever you're at in your community, there's water running beneath your feet. So we really love that as a visual metaphor. And also a confluence is where streams meet. So the convergence of multiple streams. And I think that's really where activism gets traction, is where you have multiple groups, and in this case, multiple film festivals coming together to create a larger river. So we really like that metaphor. And at the Academy where we're located, there's actually one running right underneath the building. So it's kind of an interesting moment for us to be like, actually, these kinds of connections are happening directly under our building.
I love that. I love that. So Molly, again, can you run down some of the itinerary locations and films where people can meet up and enjoy them? Really, that's what it's all about. And again, it's taking place in the city of Philadelphia from April 19th through April 21st, correct?
Yes.
Awesome.
So it's the weekend. You've got a rich weekend of films on the 19th. It's starts at 5:30 till about 9 o'clock at Cherry Street Pier. That's a cinéSPEAK organizing with Bilal Motley, and we're going to look at his films. There's going to be a lot of conversation afterwards. People like Philly Thrive will be there. There's just going to be all sorts of great things happening. It's definitely our opening night, so a little celebratory moment. On the 20th at the Academy, there's the 3 programs by the 3 film festivals: Black Star, Philadelphia Asian American Film Festival, the Philadelphia Latino and Arts Film Festival. That's from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can go on ansp.org and see Confluence and click on it and see about all those films. And the final, just something to note, all the films I've mentioned are definitely more for adults. So some age, like I'll call it from 14 to 99, but you definitely need to be an adult. We did one more children's program, and that's going to be at the Bryn Mawr Film Institute. That's My Neighbor Totoro by Miyazaki. And we're going to have a scientist there talking from our herbarium, talking about seeds and how you plant things. So that's definitely the one for children if you're looking for something for kids. And that's 1 p.m. on Sunday, the April 21st.
I love that. I want to thank you all again for coming on EcoWord this morning, really showing love to the city of Philadelphia, bringing forth activities and engagement, community engagements where they can come together for, topics in which they love, or just really want to see a new film that can actually push the culture directly to a greener, safer Philadelphia. And I'm advocating for that always through and through. But I want to give each of you time to shout yourselves out, how people can find you and stay locked and all that good stuff. Bilal, I'm going to start with you.
Yes, you can find upcoming screenings or any other work that I've done at bilalmotley.com, BILALMOTLEY.com, or you can social media at Bilal Motley. So yeah, just try to do good work and continue to work with great organizations like cinéSPEAK and Academy of Natural Sciences and WURD. So.
Thank you for the work that you're doing. And Sarah, how can people find more about cinéSPEAK?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is actually the 19th is our kickoff event. So you can follow us at cinéSPEAK, CINESPEAK, on Instagram and Facebook, and all of our events. Also, our online journal is listed there as well. We look forward to hosting you soon.
Thank you. And Ryan, how can people find more about the Academy?
You can find us at ansp.org.
Oh, awesome. Do you got a social media or anything like that, or straight to the website?
It's at a cat not sci.
At a cat not sci. So all abbreviations, people. And Molly, I'm guessing that would be the same information. Correct. Awesome.
Correct.
Thank you. I appreciate you all for joining us this morning on WRD. I'm wishing many blessings to you all on an amazing Earth Week. And I already know it's going to be a great turnout and success. Congratulations again.
Thanks.
Peace.